sunset, you get this orangish yellow light. And to force it into this image, I'm just going to push the temperature slider towards the right. And see if I can get it in there. I don't want to go too far because it might look more bad. I can also experiment with tint. See what direction I think is going to help. But then it's just not colorful enough. And so let's look at some other sliders that have to do with color. Down here we have vibrance and saturation. And with both vibrance and saturation, they're going to make your image more colorful or less colorful. And the difference between the two is that saturation treats all colors equally. So all colors will get an equal boost. So I could bring that up and make things more colorful. But do you notice what happens near the horizon line? There's a yellow that's in there that becomes way overdone, looks artificial. That's because saturation treats everything equally, and some things were already relatively colorful. And if you push them too far, you start losing detail in those areas and they start looking artificial. Vibrance, on the other hand, if I bring it up, is going to concentrate on the mellow colors within the image, areas that are not all that colorful to begin with. And then it'll affect the image less and less and less as it gets into more and more colorful areas. And that way, those areas that you saw become overly yellow in there might not become quite as yellow. Let's find out. I'll bring up my vibrance. Now, I've maxed it out as high as I can go. Tomorrow, you'd see how to push it past 100. Looks like equivalent to having a volume knob that goes to 11 instead of 10. But that's tomorrow, not today. So right now, we're limited to going up to 100%. And if I need to get it any more colorful, I have to come down here to saturation to do it. But then those yellows will become overdone. Tomorrow we could make this image look a lot better because we'll know about other features where you'll be able to move a lot of these sliders further than usual. I might fine-tune the temperature and tint to see if I can get away with going further or not. All depends on your screens. As far as what yours is looking like compared to mine. Let me see what it looks like. Oh, it looks pretty ridiculous on that screen. I don't know if you guys are seeing what I see on this screen or what you're seeing back there. So it's hard for me to judge. But we can use it for that. I might want to bring in some additional highlight detail up in here. So I could bring my highlights down to say, give me more detail there. And I could darken the image overall with exposure if I wanted. Make it feel a little bit more like it was early, where not quite as much light had come from the sun. Maybe like that. Now let's see if I can get away with a little bit more saturation. Yeah. I'm going to hit the reset button so you can see the difference between before. And I'll choose undo after. So you can see how you can force it in. And I've used that on some other images, like this one here. Let me see if I can show you what the end result looked like. Yeah. Do you see this end result where it has this warm feeling to the sky? Whereas this is what the original looked like? And that's doing a similar thing, which is faking it out by pushing a color into the image, a yellowish color, usually by moving the temperature slider towards the right. It becomes a lot more useful once you learn how to affect isolated areas within your image. And we haven't gotten to that yet, so we'll have to hold off on some of that before we can get too deep. Now, with histograms, there's a weird thing in Lightroom that I actually don't like and makes using the combination of Bridge and Adobe Camera Raw better in one way. It's not something that would actually convince me into using Bridge and Camera Raw, but it's an important difference to know about in case you're used to working with Bridge and Camera Raw, which comes with Photoshop. And that is the histogram that's here. I've mentioned that I look mainly at the ends and I look for gaps or spikes. And that's true, in that I usually ignore the color part of the histogram. I don't always ignore the color part though. The color part is supposed to be able to tell you if you're making colors too colorful. And it will tell you when you're starting to lose detail by pushing it too far. But the way that